Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Raw Radiant Health, and I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me. I realized today that I've never talked about something that is super encouraging to me, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about it today because I can't, like, every single day I get at least one or two emails from someone that is getting onto the raw food diet. And either they're like going 100% raw, or they're transitioning, or they're adding more fruits and vegetables, or becoming a vegetarian or a vegan or whatever it is. But every single day I get at least one email of someone like telling me their story and what's going on. And I love it. It's so encouraging to hear, and it makes me really happy. So happy that I decided that today I want to talk about what to expect when you get onto a raw food diet, because I know for myself, I wasn't prepared for that. Like, I think a lot of you know my story, that how I went raw was I actually had a naturopath at the end of our appointment. When I was like leaving, she turned to me and she was like, "Natasha, I want you to eat 100% raw food and email me in 2 weeks. Bye." And I was just like, okay, bye. And I didn't know anything, nothing about raw foods. I didn't even know people can live off this stuff. And so there I was, and like the next day I went 100% raw and did a little research, read a few books, and found my way. But at the same time, I didn't know any raw foodists. I didn't know anyone even knew of raw foods. It was very new to me. And I didn't know what to expect, and certain things sort of came up that, I wasn't too surprised, but at the same time I was like, whoa, like, am I supposed to be feeling this way? And so I want to kind of talk about things that might come up, and why they come up, and things like that, just so that you're prepared, and that when you do go through what I would call like detox, or some people call it like a healing crisis. I'm not too into that term. I like the healing part. The crisis part is like way too dramatic for me, and I don't think it needs to be that dramatic. It's our bodies are healing itself, and that's what we should be concentrating on, is like the beauty of change and adding good things in, and that we're starting anew, and that's what we want to sort of concentrate on. And it doesn't have to be torturous. In the beginning, it might be a little uncomfortable. I know for myself, the first week that I was raw, I had a migraine headache, and that was because I was getting off of coffee. And I think it was not only coffee that was giving me the headache, but I think it was also getting off of processed sugar, and a lot of chemicals that are in pre-made food, and all sorts of stuff. Like, if you're eating a standard diet, you're exposed to just a lot of treated food that's full of preservatives and chemicals and MSG and excitotoxins and like stimulants and all sorts of stuff. Like, some pretty harsh things are in our food, like the trans fats and hydrogenated oils and who knows what else. I mean, they don't even have to list everything that they put in, and there's a lot of weird stuff that food companies are putting into your food. So yeah, I had a migraine headache for a week, and I think it was just, for me, that was like the biggest part of the detox. I also noticed too that I was going to bed earlier. I remember that happening for maybe the first few days, was that by the end of the day I was tired, and I slept really well, but at like the end of the day when I hit the pillow, I was out. And a lot of that too is because in the beginning your body's like in shock. It's not getting its like sugar that it's addicted to. It's not getting the caffeine. It's not getting the stimulants. It's not getting any of that. That it's just like, whoa. And for so long, it might have been running on that as its primary like source of fuel. And suddenly it's getting a cleaner type of fuel, and it's got to kind of switch over. And So in the beginning, you might feel not as alert. Your moods might be up and down. You might be tired. You might be energetic. You might just be swinging from one extreme to the other, and that's normal, especially I'd say for the first few days. After about a week, things come to a balance. And I'll sort of explain why this happens, because the main thing is how our bodies work is we've all got fat, right? We all need fat. It insulates us, but it also helps to store away toxic chemicals and toxic matter away from our major organs. Like if you ever notice, when you first start putting on weight, you usually put it on in your arms or in your thighs or your bum, or areas where it's furthest away from your major organs, like your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, and your liver. Later on, when you really start packing on weight, then that's when it gets scary, is when you start accumulating fat around those organs, because you want to keep the fat away from it, because the fat is what stores the toxins away. And so the thing is that when someone first goes raw, is that they start losing weight, and that's normal. Usually the first week you lose a lot of water weight and some fat. And so when you start losing the fat and burning the fat, you're also burning the toxins and chemicals that were stored in that fat. And that's why I believe that in the beginning people go through sort of like a detox reaction, because a lot of this stuff starts almost like dumping into their bloodstream, and it takes a few days for your body to sort of find a balance, because it went from eating seriously processed food to eating really clean, water-rich, not a drop of chemical, or not a drop of hydrogenated oils or trans fats, nothing. It's getting clean, burning food, and that's a big difference. So suddenly your body can start dealing with stuff that it's stored away for that later day, when it would one day hopefully be able to catch up with its digestion and then work on getting rid of these fat reserves and things like that. So suddenly it's starting able to burn that off and get rid of it. And that's why in the beginning you're going to be a little bit all over the place until it sort of finds a balance. And it finds a balance pretty quickly. Our body is made to always find an equilibrium, right? If it eats something that's too acidic, it will find a way of making you more alkaline. And an example like that would be, if you're eating a lot of acidic food, your body will start taking out alkaline minerals from your bones and put that into your bloodstream to make it more alkaline. And a way of not allowing your body to leach its own minerals from itself would be to eat more alkaline food. So, but that's why we get certain diseases, is because we swing one way and our body needs to find the middle, and so it has to pull its own reserves. And so the great thing with raw foods is that you're always giving your body what it needs, that it gets its balance naturally, without it having to compromise itself for that balance. So once your body finds its middle, it just takes a few days. Then the healing really starts, and you start noticing the added energy, you start having mental clarity, your moods become even, you're not going through a high and an up and down from, sugar up, sugar down. It's everything is at a good balance. You sleep well, you think well, and you just become more connected to what is going around you. You're no longer numbed out and drugged out. And I mean, it's all good. And from there on out, it's only uphill. So I hope this helps to encourage anyone along their way, and that's it. So I'm wishing you guys a fantastic, fabulous, super fabulous weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye!